Bowls Australia acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of the land in which this stream is produced. We pay our respects to all First Nations people and acknowledge elders past and present.
Session 2 here at Musgrave Hill. Very much looking forward to this clash because it's Australia in the men's fours. It's Corey Wedlock, Aaron Tees, Carl Healy and Aaron Sheriff up against Malta's Peter Alul, Wesley Hedges, Jason Borg and Troy Lorimer. Australia got off to the perfect start in Session 1. Val Furbo here with you. Barry Lester joining me as he has done throughout the entirety of this fortnight so far. Baz, great to have your company again, mate. The intro was a lot better this time. I've had a second coffee. Maybe that's all I needed. Who knows?
Yeah, and those pods are kicking in too, mate. But as I just move my microphone away from the breeze, it is kicking up this wind here at Musgrave. So this northern green, you'd call it, here at Musgrave, is very exposed to today's conditions. So it's a northwester ripping in off the main intersection. As we see on the camera there, that's the south direction of this particular green, but the other direction down the other end, it is very exposed to this breeze, ripping right across the green and heading sort of to that south direction from the north. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty hard out there for a lot of players, Val, and we're just happy and glad the green isn't super quick today because it would be a headache for a lot of players.
It would be, and the first session this morning, Australia defeating Philippines 22-5, and then Malta overcoming Malaysia 13-11, which was a sensational performance. A lot of those Malaysians ended up getting through to the quarterfinals of the men's triples as well last week. So brilliant performance from Malta to get through that one. It was a long match, 13-11, and it was only decided after the hooter went off. So a brilliant performance from the Maltese quartet. But Baz, really interesting one. They're changing the positions here, the Aussies. Omar skipping the fours, Carl skipped the triples. Obviously, just shows the versatility between this Australian lineup.
Yeah, just keeping things fresh. You know, it's a really big slog, this event, and over 2 weeks, if players can move around slightly through the disciplines, it's a player comfort as well. You know, someone like Aaron, middle pin of a triple and then back end of a four it's an absolute luxury, but it just goes to show once the selectors pick the five and they put them into the desired positions, it's great to see the players be able to perform no matter where they are. And hats off to the triples, the way they performed on the weekend against Scotland. And then now you'll see Aaron jump up there and his ability to play all the shots from a back-end player. We'll see that on show today.
We saw Corey, Carl and Aaron Sheriff on Saturday in the men's triples. I was fortunate enough to commentate that game in their win over Scotland. I don't think any of them played a bad bowl in that match. They're all in good form. They're already world champions at this event. Aaron Sheriff joined Brett Wilkie as the only male two-time gold medalist as a jackaroo. So Brett Wilkie no longer has to run unopposed for the president of the club. But absolutely sensational they were, and throw Aaron Tees into that mix. He's still looking for his maiden world championship. And, of course, a shout-out to Lindsay Clark as well. Her 450th match today. She's playing it right now against Hong Kong as the hooter goes off. So she is now playing it. Amazing performance, 450.
Yeah, and the thing for me about all that, Val, is not only is that a huge achievement, and it's something – well, I don't personally worry about in terms of watching the numbers and how many games you do rack up. Luckily, we've got great staff at BA covering that. But
thank you.
When you do actually stop and reflect, on a number like that, the thing for me is the people that have obviously helped you get there. But for someone like Lindsay, two young children, husband, always worked, and that's the thing. These players, these athletes have always worked, combated, raising families, and it's a tough job. It's a tough job trying to create that balance. And we've interviewed Brad Clark a few times when Lindsay's featured on TV games, and And he said he's too scared to look at the calendar sometimes. But that's the way it goes. But, yeah, these players live in their calendars. They know exactly all their movements well and truly 6 and 12 months ahead. And it takes a huge army around these people to be able to reach those kind of figures of 450. And to Lindsay, well done. And well done to everyone that's helped you and contributed to getting you and supporting you along that journey.
Exactly right. And I think that's the one thing I'll ask you in a sec, Baz. So Malta have kicked us off here with this length and a couple of bowls in here for Peter Alul. But juggling work with bowls, obviously, you're lucky enough to work in the bowls industry, so it's a little bit easier for you. But there's some people who can't, and Alan Ryan, one of those, doing her teaching stuff and volunteer firefighting, it's definitely not easy. So how do you juggle that as Corey Wedlock? Right on the money already.
Yeah, Corey, 2 bowls very similar there, backhand both times. Well, it comes down to your position in life and your priorities, how you set your thing up. Because when we hear from any athlete in pretty much any sport, it comes back to their goals, their drives, what they want to do in life. And to really set your mind to something, you've got to have everything in order around that. So for me, as a young kid, I left country Victoria. I had to leave all my friends and family to chase the goal of reaching the heights in my sport, and that meant a lot of disconnection with family, the amount of weddings you miss and friends, party engagements and birthdays, and all these athletes do that. And then at the same time, you've got to find a way to actually support that financially. And we've touched on it a couple of times, Val, and I guess we can go there as many times as we like, but when you see these athletes getting maybe a bit of support off a sponsorship, such as your Henselites and your Aero Bowls, and that there is so important to these players. When you see them at multiple events all around the country, as Aaron Tees winds up, he's looking for the bowler jack. They cannot go off and play in those events and support those tournaments and have the time away to compete unless these brands and these sponsors are getting behind them. So that's a tough one, but ultimately, if you have got the desires and the hunger to set yourself out to be an athlete and try and reach the heights, you'll find a way to combat that with employment. Yep.
Well said, and it's great to get your analysis, Baz, and thank you for being a part of this coverage for this World Bowls Championships. And I know a lot of people on the comments have absolutely loved having you as part of it and looking forward to many more days of this to come throughout the week, both here and on the broadcast. But Aaron Tees, that bowl that he bowled before now, Baz, you can see, I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, it's just off vision as Carl Healy does take the jack. That bowl from Aaron Tees before stayed on, so I reckon that's covering the tee, but I'm not sure where that last Malaysia bowl has ended up. So, Malta, sorry.
Yeah,
looking at Malaysia next door.
Yeah, we get a good view now, so it's probably just favoured the red bowl there.
Yep. So that's Aaron Tees' drive from before. It stayed on because it crashed into the Maltese bowl. And currently holding ones that worked out really nicely for Australia.
Yeah, so I got to know Troy Lorimer pretty well the last couple of months, and Peter Alul, and they play at Red Hill Bowls Club up in Brisbane, where I've been having a couple of games of pennant. Great little club, great group of people up there, very tight-knit unit and really good facilities. So shout out to Red Hill Bowls Club up in Brisbane.
Great kits too.
Yeah, really good, red and blue.
Yep. Look at you go, Baz. I'm expecting to see you fully kitted out on Thursday ahead of the finals. Oh. Unfortunately, my boys won't be there.
Drive draw from Carl Healy. What a nice reply.
So that wind just picks up a huge gust there and blows my paper away. Thank you for catching it.
Yeah, so green speed around the 14-second mark, slowly starting to dry out. There was a lot of rain here yesterday. And we're seeing now in the peak of the conditions today around 26 degrees. If we don't get any more rain the next few days, these greens will get up really quick, pretty quickly. Start hovering around that 16, 17 second mark. And, well done to all the greenkeepers. The greens have been phenomenal.
15 ends is what we're playing to here, to our 15 minutes time limit here at Club Musgrave. And again, big thank you to Musgrave, Paradise Point, Mudgery Bar, Broadbeach and Helensvale for hosting this glorious event An event of this magnitude would not be able to be run without their support and without the support of the volunteers as well.
Aaron Sheriff on the backhand. He's just going to miss under. He's trying to play a slightly arriving shot just to try and trail the jack. His weight's perfect in the end.
Each bowler has 2 bowls. If you've just joined us and aren't a bowler or don't watch much of it, in 4s, it's 2 bowls for each of them. So I have 16 on the green.
Troy Lorimer needs to sit and stay or miss everything. He's just 2 bowls on the quick side there. Aaron Sheriff can make a number here if he gets it right.
You can trail the jack. There's an opportunity for a 3 there, Baz, and he's come on that hand. Just needs to clear that front one. He will.
Needs the jack now, Val.
Yeah, he's going to crash in, I think. He will. So I believe that's going to be one to Malta to kick us off. Here it is. So good start for the Maltese to get on the board early against this heavily favoured Australian unit. And Australia were defeated by India in the opening match of the triples. Then Malaysia as well came back and won it with gusto. Big wins over the USA and Ireland in the quarters and semis before a massive, massive win against Scotland with an end to play. I don't think they played out the full allotment of ends in any of their knockout matches, which is quite unbelievable. Just shows that they lifted for the big occasion. And Corey, Carl and Aaron Sheriff, I don't think any of them played a bad bowl in that final on Saturday afternoon.
Well, that's not something you see every day, Val. I can't say I've ever seen that before. So, as we see down the middle of the rink there, you probably think that's a really thick chalk line, but that's actually a shadow from the wires above the green, because there is a mesh shade cover that can be, you press the button on a machine, the mesh comes over the green. So in really hot, humid conditions in summer, they put the mesh over the green. And as we see there, that is telling us that, I would have thought, that it's right in the middle of the day, because the sun is directly above us. So the shadow is going to be creeping across to the right of that line as the sun moves.
I'd love to tell you that was our graphic system, just putting a big dark line on the centre line, but it's not.
That looks pretty cool. I've never seen anything like that before.
It's a great innovation, though, just to keep the shade on.
It is. It's not very common. You don't see it in many places. I have seen a few up further north around Cairns and Mackay, and where they get extremely hot. Yeah. And pretty barren, really, when in terms of dry, dusty heat. And then I know the beautiful Airlie Beach Bowls Club, where I go to once a year up there and play in their 4s tournament. They've got a nice shade that comes over and keeps the conditions cool.
That whole region up there, sensational. Went up to Port Douglas earlier on this year, and it is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world up there. Absolutely magnificent.
Corey Wedlock on a good line, just needs to spin up.
Has led superbly this tournament, Corey Wedlock. And a really emotional speech following his win on Saturday, and I was trying not to choke up in the post-match interview.
Yeah, you sort of ride the emotion with the players. You see the way the different reactions, and it's great to go on that roller coaster with them as people working in the media. And no doubt there's always backstories along the way. Players that have had different hardships and different setbacks, and
I think it's well documented last year about Corey's personal issues, losing his father, his biggest supporter, and then the Commonwealth Games was just such a difficult campaign for him to not get out of the sectional rounds in either, but he's come out here and won a world champion his first attempt as Teasy just takes the jack back and follows it.
Yeah, Aaron Tease just said, you know what, Corey, I'm not going to keep letting you just get all the glory here.
Steal my thunder.
I'm going to trail it out of there and grab some myself, but nearly perfect from Aaron Tease. So as the head was lying, fairly jack-high bowl from Corey Wedlock, Aaron Tease's job is to tidy things up as a second. We spoke a lot about it with Dawn Heyman the other day, about just turning things around the corner, trying to shape heads, and that's the key to a really good second, trying to shape the heads best for the thirds and skips. Aaron Tease slightly heavy, if anything, but has made the head a little bit better for Australia, and taking away that framed look about it with Corey's lead bowl.
He's certainly not in the way, that's for sure. Has he got the jack
backs
again?
it up
Yeah.
with a great draw shot. Aaron
is
Tees.
Monumental from Teesy. Great start. So it's interesting you say that, because all four of these bowlers, you know, in the streaming that I've done over the last couple of years, Baz, that I've seen them all skip at any point in time. Carl and Sheriff, obviously this tournament, Teesy at the BPL, Corey BPL and at Nationals. It's pretty unbelievable the adaptability that these four guys have.
As we see a great shot coming in here. Wow, that was amazing. Jason Borg. That's a great shot. Probably just down, but good effort. Yeah, that's right. You'll see these players go back to state level, club level, Premier League level, and skip their respective clubs and so on. So, but all in all, once you pick your five at this level, it's all about who can play the best, play the role the best, and that's the key. Especially for a lot of bowlers out there at club level, you'll be asked to play in a certain position. And then when the selectors pick you there, it's not a bad little way of just saying, excuse me, while you've picked me to play here, can you just remind me of actually my roles and responsibilities in that role? So don't go out and try and play the role to the best of your ability. Actually go out and play to the role. And knowing that role is so important. And as I've mentioned, definitely with the leads perspective, you need to be on or beyond and giving your teammates a chance.
So, Baz, is that more communication in the debriefs before, as Jason Borg, very close to putting in another one, but is that more the communication in the debriefs and the roll-ups before the tournament, having your team meetings and ensuring that each of the quartet out there have their certain roles, what they need to do, and they play to that role throughout the tournament until told otherwise? Yeah,
there's definitely fundamentals to each role. So, you know, the lead to be on and beyond, staying out of the way of his or her teammates coming in behind. Second, trying to shape heads, move things, trail, sit, so on. And then as you see Aaron Sheriff giving a lot of communication to his third in Carl Healy. So and that's when you start going down a whole different component to your role, and that's communication. You might be the best player in the world even, but you've got to be able to be a good communicator and leader, team leader for your teammates, because this sport, it's so much emotion involved, highs and lows, and as a skip, with that communication, you've got to ride it with them. As we see Aaron Sheriff not missing one hand going down the green then, encouraging his teammates, and so there's so many more components to just where your bowls finish.
Very good at communicating, Aaron Sheriff, and I think it's something that I've noticed about your game as well, Baz. Big booming voice down the green, just ensuring things are clear for wherever position you're playing. I think it's so important.
Yeah, the tone of your voice can really project how you're feeling and how you're coming across. So if it's a big, loud, positive, not always have to be loud, but just of a positive tone, and the way you deliver it, you know, with your chest up in the air, you know, you're looking down the green versus maybe looking down at the ground. So how you sell it is super important also.
Because you have to give your skips or your leads the best confidence about playing the shots. Doesn't matter where you're playing.
Very true. As we see, Troy Lorimer just slightly wide there, almost perfect. If he had finished inside that bowl.
Opportunity for a second there, but Aaron Sheriff going with big weight here.
Looking for that cannon.
Hasn't moved after his release. He's crashed in, so he'll get another crack at it. Aaron Sheriff, and the Maltese contingent just saying your weight's pretty solid.
And just on that too, Val, I play, you know, as you know, a lot with Gary Kelly, and he's quite extroverted, so he's up and about. And Gaz, when he's playing his best, is usually up and about. So my job is to keep him at that level. So I need to be sort of extroverted as well. And when picking teams, you've got people that are quiet and introverted. Wow, what a shot.
Wow. Almost got a bit of a result there with the jack going through. He found the gap there, did Troy Lorimer. So Aaron Sheriff will have his work cut out for him today. Let's see what he can come up with. Goes again with the same weight.
Looking for the hole. He's under. Well, what's happened there?
The jack did spill, and, well,
Australia might have scored.
I think they've got
a one out of that.
They did. Well, sometimes bowls giveth and bowls taketh away, and this time for Australia, bowls certainly giveth.
Yeah, and the thing you'll notice there is no celebration from the Aussies, just back into business.
Yeah, well, that
Aaron
was
Sheriff.
obviously not what he was going for, so they'll
That's
take
right.
it.
And everyone gets them. That's the reality of the sport. Everyone will get a lucky result like that, and Malta won't be crying over spilt milk there. They'll just be moving on. Australia, they won't celebrate it in respect to the opposition. So there's a big learning for a lot of players out there when they see and watch international bowls like this, because right there is pure evidence of an example of how to not celebrate a lucky result. And that's just the level of professionalism these players have, and that sort of code. You're right into your tennis, Val. You know yourself, if you get the let cord and it flops over, there's straight away a hand up from the opposition just to say, listen, that's a bit fortunate.
Even though they're not sorry, but they'll do it anyway.
Well,
it's just polite, because that's not what you aim to do. You don't want to win big points like that. We've seen matches decided and points like that, and it is frustrating from a viewer's point of view. But nonetheless, it happens. That's sport.
Absolutely. Yep. That's
and you saw, even going back to footy, the oval ball. It's cruel, and Stephen Milne will tell you all about it.
Yeah, that's right. And an extension to that is, a lot of people will talk about that cost St Kilda a flag. Well, it didn't. There would have been 10, 20, 30, 40 things that happened throughout the course of that football match that cost St Kilda also the win. And that's how you got to see it in bowls. That result just then, went against Malta and went Australia's way, but I'm sure there'll be other areas of this match over the next 13 ends that you could say the same about. But
100%.
Just when it happens in a key moment, it's got more focus.
So, Aussies and Malta, one apiece. Interesting start so far. A lot of jack movement already. We've seen the jack trailed in both ends at the moment. Malta, I think all four of these guys play here in Australia. Leave out here.
And we got some big crowds already hovering around the green. We've got
great to see
some family and friends. We've got
Jimmy Reynolds.
Jimmy Reynolds there. He's giving some support back.
He is a star. What a final that was on Sunday. Was watching that. Wasn't actually at Helensvale. Had the day off, so I was watching on my phone at O'Bagel in Broadbeach. And my God, that was stressful to watch. But so good. You had every faith in Jimmy and Damo that they were going to put something in the head in that last end, and they did, and what a match.
Now, Alan Ryan got the keys to the city last year in Goulburn. Now, Jimmy, with a performance like that, surely the mayor's already been on the phone and said, Jimmy, when you get home, mate, Ticketek parade, the whole lot, mate. We'll have the big shiny key waiting for you.
He deserves it.
That was phenomenal.
And so good. 21 years ago, Baz, Jimmy Reynolds was a bronze medalist in Manchester 2002. And 21 years later, still at the highest level, winning a World Bowls Championships. And not just a gold, the first ever men's para pairs gold. Him and Damo, just great guys, so humble. Damo, a little bit of a smart aleck and a jokester, which he's hilarious. I was doing a pre-match interview with the para women's pairs, and Damo's standing there watching me, and afterwards he goes, "Oi, Val, your fly's undone."
Yeah, there you go.
But knowing him, I didn't look.
Yeah, nice shot. Nice shot there. So Malta, for me, probably holding one, maybe two. Bit of room here for Carl Healy as he's coming up forehand straight into the wind. As you can see, only a little bit of late turn, but
nicely played from Carl Healy right behind the jack.
Yeah, jack length only 24 metres, really short.
Which is, the Aussies are trying this early. The first end that they control, they've gone with the short end that worked for them on Saturday.
It's a long way down. Jason Borg, tall man. He'd have to be all of 6'6", you'd think. 6'5", 6'6". He's trying to disturb this. He's very close. He's played it really well. Well, didn't quite get the shot, but he's created a head for his skip.
When he sort of tap of the jack past that Carl Healy bowl, and those three blue ones might be a welcoming sight here for Troy Lorimer. Really interesting.
Aaron Sheriff, he'll want to change this up now before the Malta skip can have a look. Backhand looking to trail the jack to make 3 or 4. Take away that jack high bowl. He's close here. Needs to hold.
Aaron Sheriff. It's gone underneath. Do apologise. There's a lot of men on the rink. Try and get him to hop out the way. I think they've seen it now, so perfect.
Yeah, Teasy just gives a thumbs up there, so thank you,
Teasy is the most astute player about this. We've had it at a BPL before. Jack went into the ditch. Teasy, all of a sudden, we've seen the cameras move going, oh no, what's happened? It's Teasy who's actually panned down into the ditch to show us where the bowl was.
He doesn't miss much. Yeah, pretty good choice of words there, Val. Very astute. No, he's got a good game now, and
he's just a ripping human being too.
Yeah, and he's got a little role to play off the mat as well. You know, he's in there playing second, just making sure he's doing his bit, just seeing the little things happen around the green and around the rink, back bowls and any things that the skip or 3 might miss. As Aaron Sheriff looks to come down again, just trail the jack, 18 inches, draw another, needs to get there. Will it make it in time? Well, enough weight, just a bit high.
So the Aussies would be well and truly ahead at the moment in the Leonard Trophy standings, having taken a gold and a silver in the 2 men's disciplines at the moment.
Yeah, is there a running?
No, I'm just going with it.
Okay.
Because they would probably be ahead.
Yep. And I guess there wouldn't be a running, would it? Be kept a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, I think it's kept as a surprise. Look, you could probably calculate it, but there's, I think, a lot of factors to go in there in terms of medals and where you finish.
I was just going to say, Troy would be trying to kill this, and he has. So They do have the Bacchus Bowl, so 1 to Malta.
So good start to Malta. 2-1 after 3. But yeah, it's the Aussies obviously having won the triples and then made the final of the men's pairs. Would have them in a pretty good stead here.
Yeah, Ireland gold in the pairs, bronze in the triples.
So they are definitely up there.
So it'd be interesting
Scotland
to see
as well,
where all
not
that
far
sits.
away. But you're exactly right, and yeah, Ireland would be very, very close with Martin McHugh, Stuart Bennett, and Ian McClure all getting through to the semi-finals, which Carl Healy finished off the other day. It's
a good one to keep an eye on, isn't it, as this week progresses, just to see even into the pools who's starting to make a move and who's backing up from last week, so you can start to get a bit of a feel on how the overall trophies will look, because as we did touch on last week, Val, obviously these players, they're doing their bit in their own disciplines, but I've spoken to a few players that were part of the World Championship overall trophy in 2000, and one of the most prestigious trophies they could ever win in their life, and that's that overall Leonard Trophy, and in the men's side of things.
It's an extra medal as well, so you can go home with 3 golds as a maximum here at the World Bowls Championships, which is
as we saw with the para guys. I love that, Val. They get an extra medal with the overall para trophies. It's just great to see, with a couple of gold medals around their neck, So, no, absolutely love that.
And that's the thing. This para team has made history, Baz. The Australians are the first para team to ever achieve this at a World Bowls Championships, and all 6 of them get to go home with a gold medal, plus the directors. So, it's great for these pioneers of bowls. Serena and Cheryl, obviously, they would have been disappointed not to get to the final, but then you've got Jake and Jackie in that final against South Africa, and then the final of the men's pairs against South Africa. Epics, absolute epics.
Yeah, nice lead bowl there from Peter Law, just short of the jack, at 10 inches away. Opportunity here for Malta to make the most of a rare off end for Corey Wedlock. Just not quite getting a perfect weight for me with his last Corey Wedlock, just not reading that bit of breeze as it gets up. But Malta here holding 2.
Bit of a southerly breeze now, Baz.
Yeah, it is swirling. That's the last thing you want, swirling wind. You don't want to look up at the flag and go, right, I think I know what it's doing, and then you look back a couple of minutes later and it's all over the place. So
it's just that inconsistency that hurts, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've got to, as you know, we've got to keep an eye on things, keep an eye on the conditions so we can give you the best read at home and get a feel for the conditions.
So Wesley Hedges here needs it to keep going. It's just pulled up. He wasn't on a bad line, just didn't have the weight.
And Aaron T is just connecting that front bowl, and this time getting a clear run. May come in handy later.
Yep, as it did earlier on in the contest. So Aaron Sheriff and Troy Lorimer will be doing battle very soon. But until then, Jason Borg and Carl Healy. This one's going to come around, but just not going to get there. A bit wide. Weight perfect.
That'd be 3, though. I reckon Australia were only 2 down before that. I reckon that's enough for 3, so...
Dare say it'll change at some stage. The winner probably not played yet, Baz?
No, not yet, but this is going to be a big effort. Carl Healy needs to hurry.
Aaron Sheriff doesn't mind it too much.
Helps.
Let's cut that down, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's a big bowl for Carl. 3 down. Looking just to get one close and cut it back, and he's done that. And the beauty of that front bowl of Carl's now, it's locked in, so it's not in a position where he can either knock it out or the opposition. So it's locked in. Carl will be able to come down with another yard of weight with his next and try and just spring the shot bowl out. So Aaron Sheriff just gesturing with his hands there and his left foot. The weight he's after. And that's where that positive body language is so important to show to your teammate exactly what you're after. So Carl Healy.
Derek Lind just saying his picture's frozen. Just refresh your page, Derek, and that should work. But everything on our end is working all fine. So just refresh it, and hopefully that's all okay. But Carl comes around the back. Good home if there's a trail of the jack from Aaron Sheriff. At the moment, Malta leading at 2-1 after 3 here at Club Musgrave. Here in the northwest of Surfers Paradise. Troy Lorimer just forgetting that he was first instead of Aaron Sheriff there. And
yeah, that can happen. You just sort of lose...
if you're in the zone.
Yeah, you just forget whose right away it is. But good to see Troy playing a bit of back end here. Does usually play a fair bit of front end bowls, but very nice technique there, nice and low. He's just looking to try and turn their nearest bowl over the jack, make a couple. He's played very good weight. Gone to a pretty handy home. So Aaron Sheriff, yard of weight, tried to trail the jack, make 3 out to the wing, or just Carl Healy's bowl through the shot bowl, and he's very close to there. Needs to hold now.
Trying to get there. He's opened things up, though. Probably gone 1 down still. Now, Beverly Brown, thank you very much. She's done a medal tally for us, Baz, here. Australia on top, 3 gold, 2 silver, 2 bronze. New Zealand in second, 2 gold, 1 bronze. England third, 1 gold, 3 bronze. Ireland fourth, 1 gold, 1 bronze. And then we go to Scotland, 2 silver, 2 bronze. South Africa, 2 silver. Canada, 1 silver, 1 bronze. And then the equal 8th, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, all 1 bronze.
Great job, Beverly. As Malta, I think, hold 2 shots here. Troy Lorimer needs to get another one in there. Missing high. So Aaron Sheriff, for these particular conditions, I think this is the easiest shot. Aaron Sheriff, he'll go big here. Looking to take the 2 bowls out.
Wind has really picked up, Baz.
Yeah, if not, it still may be a forehand trail. Okay, so forehand trail it is, or confident draw.
We jogged in after this straight away, Aaron Sheriff. He was happy with it.
Needs
It's
to
coming.
hurry.
Has he got there?
That'll do.
I think that has done the job. And Aaron Sheriff, high five from Carl Healy. We continue this seesawing affair of ones. 2 apiece after 4 ends here at Club Musgrave. Australia level proceedings. But they are on top of the medal tally with 3 gold medals. New Zealand following close behind on 2, thanks to Taylor Bruce's come from behind win against Kelly McCarrahan. Canada still just struggling to get out of that silver medal position. Just the 1 gold medal back in the pairs in 2004, men's pairs. That is Ryan Bester, one of those, and he's looking to add a world singles gold to his account this year. He's finished with the silver medal a couple of times, and Shannon McElroy defeated him in 2016, and he's back looking to go 1 better. Lost in the 2016 World Champs final and 2018 Commonwealth final. But the final will be at his home club of Broadbeach should he get there. Defeated Ulla Backrun of Sweden in the opening round this morning, and Ulla will be in action next. We're going to be bringing you that clash with the Swede and Sam Tolchard, the world champion of champions, winner from last year. And of course that match, our last sort of here on Ringside Live with our coverage, our last non-Australian game of the week. Bringing you a bit of international flavour today. Good start from Corey Wedlock, getting 1 behind. This lead battle really interesting against Peter Alul. And Corey Wedlock, who was just completely locked in with robotic precision on Saturday. Again, getting in a pretty good position there. Right at home, Jackaroos looking right at home on these Gold Coast greens.
Peter Lowell, well, he's not, oh, geez, half the shot bowl there. If he cleared that, he was looking really good. At least he's giving his second a bit of a chance there. He's a bit of a pathway, a bit of a guide there to the jack. Aaron T's on the forehand. Nice home. We speak about that a lot. If you're not drawing the shot, you want to be finishing good areas, and that's nearly perfect for a second. It's a good home if there's any jack movement, and it's a good home if there's big weight later on and you've got the tee covered.
So, Wesley Hedges looked good, but that bowl that was waiting at the back there, as you just said, Baz, that is why you are here. Tee covered. Jack trailed. Aaron T says thank you very much.
Massive difference between a second trying to draw a shot and add and finishing maybe a yard short versus a second playing their role to perfection.
Aaron T's is looking good.
Yeah, and that's what Aaron T's can play, and that's why he's selected to play that role. Literally back up his lead and get bowls slightly past the lead bowls, and so far he's got 2 shots. So one thing you'll always notice about players of this level in competitions of, as we just see, just sliding past, is they're always looking to move things, always. So Aaron T's put a bowl where the jack got moved to, and now he's looking to move the bowl or jack. So that's the key, and if players of this ability are always moving things, you need to be doing it first or protecting where it may go.
So Borg and Healy to do battle once more. Carl, a world championship winning skipper. Now, such an amazing performance to win his first World Championship gold skipping against Alex Marshall, but not to mention just over a year after making his international debut, sat in purgatory for a year being in the squad, but then lockdowns came and skittled any plans of a World Championship or any international matches, and finally got to play that first game in May last year. Hasn't looked back since.
Yeah, just adding on to that, poor old Carl, he was selected to go to Hong Kong too. And, yeah, that didn't go ahead, so because of COVID, so he had to wait even longer. And what an event that is, the Hong Kong Classic coming up in November. And it's its first Classic back after a few years out with COVID.
Very exciting. We've got a few Aussies making an appearance overseas later on this year. We've got Nathan Black and Jesse Cattell going over to play the World Bowls Junior Indoor Championships, the Under-25s event. And then Kira Burke and Nick Cahill going over to Burnside to play in the junior singles competition over there. Looking forward to seeing what those two can do.
And Jason Borg, well, he's not far away here. He wants the jack back. Got all the catches. Well, it's stuck around.
He's so unlucky. I mean, he's knocked their bowl away.
Played it well. He's managed to get second, I believe, as well as
punch. But then a trail here, Baz, and there's a big opportunity. Watch this.
Yeah, so he's just looking to get the jack on the nose, kick it out, or sit the shot bowl. He's got a bit of everything. Didn't quite work out for him, but he's created a good shot for his skip. But you'll see here, Aaron Sheriff, this is an offensive play. So what Aaron's looking to do here is play this shot before his opposition does. So he's not playing any defense at all here. This is offensive, looking to trail the jack, well, plan B, kick that past the jack and cover the jack. So that offensive play there is, for me, there's only real two key elements to the sport of bowls: offense and defense. Aaron could have went defensive then and went round the back and covered the two blue bowls at the bottom of the screen. But no, he said, I'll try and play this first on an offensive play and look to take the opportunity away from the opposition. And he's done that. Yes, there is still a slight chance that Troy can play this shot, but by getting in first, he's really tried to shut down the Malta skip.
He's made things difficult for Troy Lorimer, you're right. So, really interesting end so far. Is this where the Australians make their move? Looking good currently, but Troy Lorimer has played well. He's got a good release, Baz.
Yeah, nice and low. Gets the bowl away great.
Just travelling, though.
Yeah, just kept himself slightly open with the breeze there. So when playing in windy conditions, it's so important that your body is either stays really closed off to the wind. So Aaron Sheriff just letting that one go. So backhand, just looking to try and get to the bottom of the screen. Just needs to hurry now. Gets a clear run, he might. No, well, so Troy Lorimer here. So I'll just lower my voice a little bit. We're not too far from the rink here, but Troy Lorimer. So the breeze is coming across his body, and he's got to not open his body up too much with the delivery. He's got to try and keep it closed and really direct to his line here. So on the forehand with weight.
Troy Lorimer. Now, he's not far away from some sort of a result, but hits his own out. And, well, this is looking like it could be a big collect here for the Aussies. Didn't quite see what the signal was, but
4 shots.
Looks as though it was a 4.
It was already 3. He went with bigger weight, took his own out.
So, 4 takes Australia's total to 6. They lead at 6-2 over the Maltese contingent. So, 5 ends played. We're a third of the way through. And Australia, they make their move. It was 2 apiece before that. No multiple had been scored. For the first time, someone wins 2 ends in a row. Brilliantly constructed by the Aussies.
And that's that seconding from Aaron Tees. Once again, a second is just like that umbrella for the lead. Just covering off everything the lead's doing, getting in behind their bowls. And Aaron Tees, well, we saw trailed the jack for one and then got another. Sorry, covered the back when the jack got trailed and then drew another. So Aaron Tees, back-to-back ends, getting bowls in the area. And then once you know your role, Val, it's then a matter of going out and practicing and executing in your training. So out at Clubland especially, you'll see a lot of players week to week probably just go out and have a bit of a roll-up during the week. And that's fine, to just get bowls down. But when asked to fulfill your duty come game day in a pennant environment or a tournament environment, and you're asked to play a draw to the ditch or turn a bowl with a yard or something like that, if you're training it and practicing it during the week, your confidence levels will be through the roof come game day to be able to play it. Especially, I find, drawing to the ditch. Drawing to the ditch is such a confidence-driven component of the sport, and if you're doing a lot of it and practicing it, sometimes when it presents itself game day, your confidence levels will be much higher as opposed to not practicing it. As we see here, Peter Alul is trying to disturb this head. Well, that's perfect. He's created a much better head for Malta. That's a brilliant lead bowl from Peter.
He's been good, Peter Alul. And Basil, harping back on your point about drawing to the ditch, I don't know if you saw it during the vision impaired mixed pairs final, but Jake Felberg did it twice the other day against South Africa. It was one of the best exhibitions of ditch drawing that I've ever seen in my life. He hit two bang on the money within a couple of feet of the ditch. Bowl was right in there, as trailed in by Jackie Hudson. Australia scored a 3, and that went a long way to determining or to getting them out to that big lead that they had before South Africa managed to stage that final end thriller. But Jake Felberg, unbelievable to be visually impaired and to do that and have that touch. Sensational.
Yeah, they're just such big moments in the game. Drawing to the ditch, I know the crowd seem to enjoy it when the players draw to the ditch, but it's definitely something that has to be practiced. If you're even playing singles or a lot of back-end bowls, you'll be asked to do it a fair few times, and quite often it's a shot that will could create a number or save a number, so it's a shot that must be practiced a lot.
Well, what about the BPL 14 final last year? Ben Twist drawing into the ditch against the Moama Steamers in that final. Just sensational. He skippered that brilliantly.
Yeah, drawing to the ditch, and as we're seeing, especially in the BPL format, Val, is tiebreakers now. Many of the teams trying to put the jack in the ditch early to shut it down, but if you're a player that can draw to the ditch well, you've got to back yourself, and a lot of practice goes into it.
Are we going to see you step up and put one in the ditch at BPL 18 in November, Baz?
Hopefully. I managed to snatch one into the ditch last year that went a long way to us doing pretty well. But
you certainly did.
But it's not something I leave to chance. I know leading into the BPL, I'll get some time on the carpet, probably at Tweed or Paradise Point or something, and definitely practice those shots. And if the big man down the other end, Gazza Kelly, calls me on it, I've got to be ready. And as does Malta be ready here, because as much as there's a bit of room for second, they are 3 down. Big Jason Borg, what can he do? Well, he's got all the answers. He's got the shot.
Sensational from Jason Borg. The big boy gets a big result.
Carl Healy, backhand now. Ditch weight. Looking for the shot bowl. Ideally clean because the jack's in a great location. He's close here.
Carl Healy, not far at all. And he's got it clean.
That's the perfect result.
One down to 4 up.
Yeah, and the run-through. So he didn't stop and stay jack high. He got the run-through. So now it's left for Big Jason to dead draw it again.
Might still only be 2. But that is absolutely huge from Carl Healy. Jason Borg. Well,
high line here.
Rinse and repeat from before, but you're right, Baz. And he's short. So Malta with nothing close. That was his previous bowl. Absolutely magnificent.
And Val, the difference between Jason Borg's bowl here, standing up like that and then falling over, if it falls over, it's very extremely hard for Carla to get the shot. But as it's standing, it's wider on the jack, it's a wider target, and it's more vulnerable to be moved. Carl came down with really good weight, sat it perfectly,
Yep.
and ran on and didn't create a target himself. Great shot, Carl Healy.
Yeah, he kept it a very, very slim as well. It stayed up on its bias and didn't flop over. So Carl Healy continuing his good form. I was talking to him before. He said the job is not done yet. Even though he is a world champion, he's got another event to play, and so driven as Aaron Sheriff puts in yet another. That's probably going to count.
And that's that overall trophy as well, Val. They know no matter how well they go in this event that there's an overriding factor. And of course they want to be winning gold and they want to be doing their best, but they know every result they get goes towards that trophy.
Well, no Australian bowler has won, or no Australian male bowler has won 2 World Bowls Championships at the same event, on green anyway. So these 3 looking to achieve it.
On a nice high line, Aaron. Is he going to get back in time, though? I think he'll get back. Yeah, okay, he's done enough. So Troy Lorimer now, I'd say he's at least 4 to 5 down.
It's not looking good.
I just don't know about the front one up the green there. So Troy needs to find a yard of weight. Same line. 1 yard of weight to cut it back.
This is where the Aussies making their move. I believe he's tight here, Barry.
Probably more so, yes, he is tight, but he had to have reached, even if he was tight to turn his own up or wide to sit something, just not quite giving it a chance there.
So we'll get a signal coming. Kicking out a few.
Yeah, that's the one I wasn't sure. So this one's going to be close.
This could be 5 or 6. It is 5. That is massive from Australia. They were at 2 all after 4. And after 6, well, they lead at 11-2. 9 shots in the last 2 ends. They have stormed out. Big lead now for the Aussies as they make their move. Corey Wedlock locked in. Carl's water bottle has seen better days. He holds that up. That's completely and utterly dinted. I'm not sure how he's done that.
Yeah, not sure what's going on there. But it's great to see, though. It's one of the first things you should probably put in your bowls bag. There's no doubt about it. Whether you're playing in hot or cold or indoor or outdoor, does not matter.
Hydration is everything, Barry.
On your feet all day long, some days, and some days, a couple of days in a row. Must stay hydrated. And these players we're seeing, Carl having some water. I just saw Teasy and Corey nibbling on some snacks. They've got to stay fueled. They're doing it for their country. All these players out here, they're doing their best for their country, so they're trying to give themselves every chance. And we saw Jimmy Reynolds the other day snacking on a banana during that gold medal match with 4 or 5 ends to go, just out there snacking on a banana. That could have been the difference between maybe just falling away with energy or keeping himself up and about and fueled and hydrated. So these players giving themselves every possibility to get the job done for their country.
It's fantastic. It's been a great tournament so far. 7 gold medals already awarded. 4 more to go.
Joey Gigo, how are you, Joe? Long time no see, mate. Hope all is well with you.
The Aussies have they've found their consistency here. Malta a little bit wayward. The first 4 ends, they were right in it, Baz, but the last 2, you can't afford to have a wayward end against these Aussies because they will make you pay, and it's what they've done.
Yeah, and a lot of it wasn't all that bad from Malta. You know, they held some shots, but the ability to come down and just play the right weight that Australia's shown, that's the key in these windy, blustery conditions. When playing weight into the head, playing it with the right weight so you can stay around. And we saw last end, if Carl had played bigger weight, he could have kicked across and got the jack and killed it, or he could have hit that bowl and ran away himself. But just playing the correct weight, as we see here, Aaron Teague's just sliding in behind,
Another good bowl. Another bowl in a good home. But that's the thing. He had that Jason Borg delivery. Carl Healy just went and sat him out. And then he didn't have the response. And that's the thing. The Aussies will have the response and be able to make you play those extra bowls. What have we got here from Wesley? He's going to settle into a good home there.
Very handy, yep.
So those bowls, that encatchment back there, probably not going to come into play as much.
So this isn't the stage of the game. I mentioned last game this morning, Val, is for the players, if I was Troy Lorimer, I'd be just having a chat on the crossover or whenever he can, even if Troy follows his first bowl or follows his last bowl at the completion of this end, and he stays down the end where all the players are and just says, all right, guys, hang in there. You know, it's a pool match. We've come off a great win against Malaysia. Let's keep the shots close. But for me, it's trying to get the Malta players not swapping and changing too much. We're seeing a bit of everything from all the players, from lead right through to skip, forehand, backhand, adjusting, dodging bowls and so on. So ideally in windy conditions and when the opposition's playing well, you got to still try and maintain some kind of rhythm for yourself and stay settled. So it'd be good for Troy to just keep the positive vibes going. A lot of positives to come out this morning. Malaysia, a very, very strong team. They would have been in the top sort of 4 or 5 favourites for this event, and Malta's coming off a great win. So a lot of positives to come out of their day so far. The only negative right now is that scoreline.
It was a long and gruelling contest. The horn did go off before they finished, so interesting. And what is also interesting is the women's pairs. Switzerland's skipped by Lara Butler and Marianne Quensler lead Christic and Ryan 8-5 after 8 ends. So Australia holding sway currently here. That's probably 3 shots. Malta just, I think the conditions are really playing with them at the moment. Aaron Sheriff doesn't need many more invitations when the room is this big. Let's see what he can do here. Currently holding another number. This one's coming.
Yeah, way too much room for Aaron Sheriff, especially on a pretty kind surface. You know, it's still only around that 14 to a quarter mark. Yes, it's a little bit gusty coming off the north, but so for Troy, he's had to sort of play a bit of everything the last 4 or 5 ends. Runners, draw shots. Last time he played in this direction, it was 2 forehand runners. For me, it's just in that uncomfortable sense of the scoreboard and uncomfortable sense of being down again on the head, just trying to really settle himself, just find a line and a length and give himself a chance. He's out on a pretty good line here. If you can just try and follow Aaron Sheriff down. And he's nailed the line, perfect line. This needs to find 6 feet. So a lot of positive to come out of that bowl for Troy. Beautiful line. Stick to that. Add some weight, and hopefully he can cut it back for his country.
Aaron Sheriff, another opportunity for him to get another one in. Australia currently holding yet another number. They lead at 11-2. He's going to crash. Can he get around? No. So Malta, well, they just need to get something in here because this is another 3 or a 4 if Troy Lorimer doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah, and nothing has changed at all for Troy because his line previously still gets him the shot. It's just making that body weight, that little bit of tempo correction, just minor correction, keeping everything the same.
Well, he just simply has to get it if Malta are any hope here.
Looks like he's got a bit more on it.
But is he missing high, Barry Lester?
Well, he just needs to get back now if he works inside. So he's just not able to cut it back. So it's probably another 3 or 4 for Australia.
I think this could be a 4, Barry.
Yeah, so Troy not getting on the mat, holding the last 3 or 4 ends.
Get an indication here of the scoreboard. Yeah, that's another 4. So after we saw Barry Lester we saw 4 singles to kick us off in the first 4 ends to see the score levelled at 2 apiece. Australia have gone bang, 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 4, 5 and 4, 13 shots from 3 ends. And, well, they lead at 15-2.
Yeah, I think it's time now. Malta just got to start completely from scratch. Blank canvas, put the lead on a new hand. Just try something new, just blank canvas it. And that just might be enough to shift things around, start finding a little bit of momentum. And, Peter Elul, just start on a fresh hand and ideally set them up again and just chip away. So at 15-2 on end 8, set a little mini goal. So over the next 4 ends by end 12, not to let Australia get to 20. And try and aim to get to something like a number yourself, something like 6 or 7. Doesn't always have to be about winning, especially in these pool game setups. If they can keep Australia under 20, that might be a new goal. And for me, especially focusing on the offensive, defensive part of things, I think that'd be a good mindset for Malta as Corey Wedlock nails a jack. And that's what it is. It's setting those mini goals, because the overriding pitcher can always sort of control your thoughts. We've got to win this match. In this position right now, of course you want to win the match, but you've got to set a mini goal. Let's not let Australia score more than a certain number and see what comes off the back of that.
And in turn, the Australians, in order to not stay or not go complacent, what would you say they could do? The Kelsey Cottrell maybe to reverse the score and say, all right, we're 2-15 down. Let's see what we can do and try and make big numbers to get that back.
Well, that's right. And in Australia, you could go this smell blood attitude, you know what I mean? And which you've really got to. You've got to...
Ruthless.
Yeah, you've got to be ruthless. That's no doubt about it, Val. And all the momentum's with them. All the players are playing well. They're settling into conditions, So why not run with it? But
shots up matter. And we saw what they did to Turkey last week, 65-0 in the men's triples. And the Aussies, they'd be looking to smell blood again and get a big win for their shot difference. And we see in any of these pool sections or in sports that we love, AFL, the Premier League, Baz, big wins go well for your percentage or your shot difference.
Yeah. So the 2 front bowls so far, they're not ideal, but it's cutting those back. So those 2 front bowls up there, you would much rather, from a skipper's point of view and from a game setup point of view, is that those bowls, through or even potentially on the ditch, because they're not only in the way, they just don't have any value up the front, and no one's deliberately trying to put them there. And I'm not trying to downplay the player's performance at all, but that's where the game plan needs to be reminded. Keep giving your bowl a chance. And Malta's, they're trying hard, as we see here. Big Jace, he's having a crack. Both players, Troy, they're all in the hunt here. Great. So you see the reward there with a little bit of weight. You work off things. So to Malta's credit, they're hanging around, and all they need is once again just to get a little sniff, get 2 or 3 shots here or there, and try and be back in this fight over the next 6-7 ends. Okay, Jason Borg on the backhand. It's a fair effort. Wow, what a try. 2 feet out.
He's been really good, Jason Borg. It's probably been the pick of the Maltese bowlers so far. Troy Lorimer put in a couple of good ones early on, but he's definitely been the most consistent. As the big number 3, Carl Healy, though, looking to slot in yet another, and he's done so. And does Corey Wedlock's bowl fall over? No.
So Carl Healy, when he got on the mat, then there would have just been a complete sense of freedom. They're holding shot. They've got bowls in the area. You can just get on the mat and do what you do best with that sense of freedom. The other side of things is Jason Borg here. He's feeling as though there's a big task on hand here, but it's up to Troy to really encourage him and really make sure he's playing this with confidence. And that's what I'm really liking about Malta so far. The body language is still really positive, and there's still plenty of voice out there. So Jason Borg crashing into the front bowl, Jack back. Now Malta holding one.
He's been superb so far, has Jason Borg. Have a look at the replay here. Australia holding 3, I reckon, before that. This was in the area, gave it a chance, and Malta now on the board with 1 at the moment, but skip's still to come. And Aaron Sheriff doesn't need many more invitations, as we said before.
Aaron Sheriff on the back end. Jack only a couple of feet off the ditch here, off the edge anyway, so needs it to slow up for me. He's looking good.
Tell you what, Barry, the Sheriff is
That'll
in
do.
town.
Well, I've got that as shot, but
I agree.
it's close.
I reckon he's got it.
So I thought he was just had a little bit of run there, but he's played it so well, Aaron Sheriff. If he hasn't got shot, gee, he's giving himself a really good look with his next.
Club Musgrave, absolutely beautiful greens here. Sitting right on top of a hill too, so it does get a bit blistery, or blustery. Wrong choice of word there.
Okay, Troy Lorimer. Not much to lose here, really. Got enough around it. The call is, if they can get the jack under the number, they can make 3 or 4. He's going to miss high. I don't know about that. I probably would have thought he'd see him just try and get another one in there, Troy with his first. The thing about where Troy's at right now is because they're chasing, when you're chasing, you're generally playing a whole array of shots. Forehand, backhand, draw, drive. So Troy's played runners, draw shots, conversions, the whole lot the last 5 or 6 ends. And that's just how the game is presented. But for me in this particular end, it would have been good for Troy just to settle, try and play a big draw shot, restrict the room for Aaron, and sort of close this head off, and then maybe look to create something after that. So just see the Malta team having a bit of a chat here. So if Aaron doesn't change this, I reckon, well, he's playing weight. I don't mind this either. They're looking for the cannon.
Not far off.
He's got it.
And, well, it beggars belief how someone can be this good.
Yeah, so there's 2 options there. Just draw another and get another one in there, or completely take away any danger. So as we see, there's a pool of Malta bowls. He knew if he gets the red bowl, the red toucher, he takes out their nearest, and if he kicks off, he can remove the others, and he gets it perfect.
He's unbelievable.
And they communicated that. Everyone on that rink, every Australian player on that rink discussed that shot. That's what I really love. It's a team performance.
It is.
And the skipper ultimately has to play the shot, but it comes back to a team decision.
Well, Aaron Sheriff, there is a reason he's a 2-time world champion and one of the best in the world. What has Troy Lorimer got? I think he's going to miss high here, Baz, but
gets down.
Might stick around. It may stick around here. So I'm not sure if that's cut it down just to 1. It has. So a good effort there from Troy Lorimer as we round the halfway point. Australia, they lead at 16-2 on the back of some Aaron Sheriff brilliance. And they've now won 5 ends on the bounce, Barry Lester. Just the consistency and ability to adapt to the conditions has been the difference so far. Malta already on the board with a win over Malaysia this morning. Australia over the Philippines. But they have continued on their merry way, the Aussies.
Yeah, just throughout the sort of 3 or 4 ends over the last, what's that, half an hour now, 40 minutes. Australia's just that front-end pressure and shots play, just to be able to sit things, move things, and put bowls in the right position. We saw Aaron Tees hit a bowl earlier for 2. We saw Carl Hillis hit a bowl out for 4 or 5. And then we saw Aaron Sheriff play that big conversion to make 3 or 4. And then to Troy Lorimer reply with a nice draw shot was great to see. So there's a big picture here, and that's the key component to this particular stage in this match for both teams, but more so Malta. The key component is shots difference, and that's where when you look at the ladders, everyone's looking at results and ladders and all that, and it comes back to shots difference. And Malta want to be able to keep this, I would have thought, under 10 or just around 10 from where they're positioned now. So
they need to gain another 4.
The ultimate reward is winning the game. Now that's going to be tough from here. Of course, they're going to be still trying to win, but the next best win for them, I think, because it's 14 difference now, is to keep it under 10. And if they come off the green and haven't only lost to Australia by 8 or 9, I think that's a win, because after winning this morning by a couple against Malaysia and only losing to Australia by 8 or 9 potentially, then their shots aren't too bad, and they're 1 from 1 with 1 to go today. So they're the small wins, and that's how you got to be keeping approaching pool games.
Carl Healy out there, Baz. I reckon he's wearing Dave Stockham's cap. The 100 on it. Might have forgotten his back at the hotel room.
So that is a fine. So the Australian Jackaroos...
Have I just ratted him out here?
You have, yes. I'm not... Yeah, you definitely have. He would know that it's a fine, no doubt, Val.
What is the fine?
So on every tour... the Australian Jackaroos at the end of the week, they have, well, during the event, they have a fine master, a nominated fine master, usually 1 male, 1 female, and their job is to take notes, be a sniper.
Yeah.
No, take notes on
lurk in the shadows. Just
anyone that says anything that probably doesn't make sense or do anything that doesn't make sense. Most times it's people making a bit of a fool for themselves, but and
might be screwed.
And that at the end of the week or end of the fortnight, in this case, they'll all sit down and review all the fines over a couple of weeks, and then all that money gets put into a pool. The fine will be determined by the severity. So it might be a $5, it might be a couple of dollars, it might be sometimes a $10 or $20. I know going back many years ago, I forgot I'm dobbing myself in here, aren't I?
You've probably been fined for it already, so...
Yeah, the team sheets got slid under the door at night. Our old coach, Steve Glasson, would slide the team sheets under the door, and I was doing a lot of leading in the triples and 4s, and so I'd only need 2 bowls in my bag. And we're in Glasgow, and Glass calls the cards at lunchtime and says, Barry Lester, you're leading for Mark Casey in the pairs.
Oh.
And, of course, you need 3 bowls in the pairs, don't you?
Yes.
And I only had 2. And we had a couple of staff members rush back to the hotel to get the other bowls that I needed, and they didn't make it back in time, so I had to use some other bowls. Luckily, we had a great win. Mark Casey was on fire that match, of course.
What did you get fined?
I threw in £20.
Wow. Ooh,
yes.
That is a big fine.
Yeah, I think that, I was very, very disappointed in myself. I pride myself on preparation, and as we see, Carl Healy. So
just a couple that have slid through for Carl in this end here, but
so the severity of the fine, something like that. We saw Brett Wilkie. He used 3 bowls in one competition and another type for 8 ends. That's a big fine. So if you're doing something pretty silly like that, you have to cough up. And then over the years, the money's gone to different charities and so on, and also gone to paying for maybe some meals and so on. So it's but you're never safe ever. You're never ever safe. And of course, the cards, the Jackaroos keep a little card on them. If you can't present your card, that's a fine. So it's all adds up to the banter and the fun and the off-green antics.
And there'd also be, the laughter at the expense of the person that has to pay the most at the end. on your tours, who would that person normally be?
I think there's. Well, I don't want to dob anyone.
Okay, all right.
But look, there's a few people that feature most times more than others.
I feel like Teasy would have got a fine the other day by Karen Murphy for leaving the paper in his water bottle.
Right. Yeah, they're all. You're onto it. You're onto all those little things.
Okay.
wrong uniform, just all that kind of stuff. Maybe late to a bus so not like the English Premier League. I've seen some fine systems they have, and they're talking thousands of pounds. If you're caught having your phone on you in a meeting and that, you're talking £5,000, and that I know they can afford it, but it just goes to show, you've got to be on the ball. As Troy Lorimer sets up on the back end here. He's got to make the most of this, Troy. They're holding at least one
opportunity here.
It's a clear run. His weight looks good enough. Well, he's just clipping that front bolt. So we've got a strong gusting northwester breeze just popping up at the moment. We see the trees.
Conditions are not easy. It's changing directions as well.
Yeah, look, and there's always going to be a end of bowls throughout any match. And in conditions like this, you probably see more than what we've seen so far. But there's always going to be one end where, unfortunately, what happens if the front end don't nail it, it starts to set a bit of a trend. And then, as you can see, all the angles coming into the jack, both wings are covered. And then once they start to be covered, it becomes hard for everyone to get in there. And that's just the trend of this head. And everyone sort of just fell trapped to that. But in saying that, as I look across the rinks, Val, and you know I'm a big one for this.
Yep.
The heads are starting to loosen up a little bit because of these blustery conditions.
So Malta, they do get back on the board. I believe it was just the one. And that is correct. So Malta score their third end of the contest. It's 16-3 in favour of Australia. And the team of Wedlock, Tees, Healy and Sheriff have streamed out to a wonderful lead on the back of the 5th, 6th and 7th ends, in which they scored a 4, a 5 and a 4 in amidst their 5 on the bounce. Malta have only scored in singles so far, and the Aussies have been ruthless.
Yeah, so Troy Lorimer walking right up the green there, asking for a short jack. So this jack here is very exposed. You see the trees in the background blowing around. So this jack, as much as it's right out in the middle for everyone to see, it's going to be... Oh, look at the wind grab that. Wow, look at that.
That's pushed it close to the peg.
And Troy's shirt's nearly getting blown off his back there. As I try to cover the mic, that's getting right up. And it's... Yeah, trust what you see now. So if you look up and you just got to trust what you see and feel. As I see the angle that a bowl of Peter Lulz finished on just near Aaron Sheriff's right leg, the full face of that bowl pointing up the other way of the green. So as you try to fight the conditions, the goal is to stay mentally positive.
How many feet of draw would you be needing here, Baz?
Yeah, on that particular hand, as we see Corey shaping up again, he's switched over. He's going to try and ride the narrow side. So you can see that's only drawing about 3 feet, whereas the other side would be well and truly out to about 6 or 7 feet now. So
and great adaptability there from Corey Wedlock. He's put that bowl in a great spot, at a foot away.
Yeah, so...
And...
both players electing to play opposite sides in the end there, but it comes down to personal preference, what you prefer in the wind.
So Wesley Hedges pushes his back. Aaron Tees come out a bit wider than what Corey Wedlock did before. Teesy will come around the back, but this is going to be a very good home, and the line absolutely spot on from Aaron Tees.
Yeah, a bit of room here for Malta. Probably about 2 feet to draw the shot. So both bowls there from Wesley, nearly identical weight. On good lines, just 4 foot heavy as Aaron Tees shapes up on the backhand. He's got a clear run at this. Just needs to run it out. So he's probably a yard short on that occasion. Enough to count. So Australia, as much as they're holding 3 or 4...
there's room.
There is room, but it can work both ways, Val. So if Australia get one right next to that jack, that's when Malta actually might go straight at the target, straight at the jack. But as it's proving right now, it's not easy to draw. So it's not a bad position for Australia. Even though they're not nailing it, they're not also setting up targets as well. And that's the key to the game. You do not want to make any component of the game easier for your opposition.
No, you don't. And we've seen it many times when players have that proclivity to play weight. This one, very nicely negotiated by Carl Healy.
So right now in these conditions, the hardest shot is to draw this as opposed to maybe ripping into it and bringing those back blue bowls into it. So Australia, they'll be wary of not trying to go too close and set up targets. So Jason Borg trying his best on a good line.
He's been probably the pick of Malta's bowlers today.
Yeah, on a really good track there, just falling probably 2.5 foot short. You can see Aaron Sheriff's foot now. Yeah, okay. All right, so it was either draw a wide draw and not add, fatten up the target, or get to the tee, and that's where they're going.
Tee's the call, and tee's where we're going. You're right, Baz. It's a good tactic by the Aussies, and this one might end up right on top of it. That is a very good finish from Carl Healy.
Yeah, so that takes out the full-blooded drive, looking for the jack. I think for Troy, I think he's got to just be weight conscious here. Look to turn up Jason Borg's last delivery. If he's under, he can come under and sit that red bowl of Aaron Tease's at 7 o'clock. 7 to 8 o'clock there. So Troy Lorimer, first objective is he needs to be there. And ideally, up into Jason Borg's bowl would be the best result. So backhand on the narrow hand. As you can see, only taking a couple of feet of grass. The breeze really smashing into that bowl. Needs a clear road now.
It's not far away.
It's close.
I think it just drifted past, but a good effort there. Well, maybe. I'm favouring that Jack High bowl of Corey's.
Yeah, it's hard to pick. I think it's closer than definitely that one at sort of 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. But
I think you're right there.
It's definitely between Corey's and Troy's last one. So
unless Aaron Sheriff can change things, it is going to come underneath. Just a bit short.
Yeah, Jason Borg going in. That's the key. So the head's changed since Troy left the head. So there's been 2 or 3 things that have changed. Troy's obviously had an impact with his delivery, and Aaron has too with changing angles up. So now Troy's job is to inform him of those changes and then to try and direct something for him to play, which he's just done there. So Troy Lorimer, something similar on the backhand, looking to work under that front blue bowl.
After this, 2:45 p.m. men's singles action, Sam Tolshard up against Ulla Backgren of Sweden. Looking forward to that contest. Just coming underneath, so Aaron Sheriff with a chance here to ensure that Australia will secure the shot. A bit of a damn wall through there.
Yeah, but there is a hole. Where if there's a hole, there's an opportunity. And Aaron Sheriff, 10, 15 feet away, under the reds, missing the blue. Can he get it? Well, just
not far.
Missing. So it's going to be
one to Australia, called by Carl Healy. So it was that Corey Wedlock bowl at about 9 o'clock. That sees Australia forge ahead back to a 14-shot lead after 10. 5 to play. The result probably fait accompli now, but Malta just need to get that margin back under 10 to try and keep that shot difference intact. It's a bit nippy under here as well, Baz. Wind making it a little bit cold. You've gone for the jacket.
I've had the jacket on for about an hour just because that breeze, that northerly or northwesterly, has been coming straight at us. So, yeah, it's definitely a bit fresh, mate, even though it's a hot day, just because we're in the shade. So I guess our hardest job, Val, is we can talk about the game and we can talk about the shot selections and how the players are going about it, but is to try and give you a feel for the conditions. It's almost impossible. The wind would be well up into around the 20-odd kilometre mark.
Maybe even more.
Yeah, the trees are blowing around. You can see the players' uniforms blowing around. And the one thing that's assisting the players slightly is the fact that the green isn't too fast. So it's free. It's running free. It's running beautiful. But just with the moisture yesterday, as Corey Wedlock nails the jack, just with the rain yesterday, it's the conditions are a bit kinder in when it comes to the wind today because of the pace of the green. But when it comes to wind like this, and I mentioned it earlier this morning, ideally you can just try and stick to one hand and just catch some rhythm and be happy to play to the area, not to the jack. In windy conditions, you want to be on the jack all the time. Don't get me wrong, but in windy conditions, if you can just spot an area 2-3 feet and play to that area and just keep packing them in there and wait for your opportunities.
Analysis by the best, Barry Lester, or should I say analysis by the blessed. Barry Lester and Val Febo joining you from Club Musgrave. Great spot here.
Aaron Tees. What a shot that is for him, Aaron. He's just set up his Australian teammates so well there in behind Corey. As Wesley hedges. Well, he's just going to miss high, I think. He's going to get back. But he's trying.
It's trying to come back here, Barry Lester.
Well, it took its time, but it got back lovely. What a shot.
The wind helped that a bit, I reckon. Great shot. Pushed it out. Guided it back beautifully. I reckon this one's going to end up far to the right of screen here. That wind pushing. Oh, it stayed on the line. That one held out.
So already, as I said before, Val, Malta, trying not to let Australia get to 20. I know might be a tough ask, but it's still those mini goals. And, if Malta can somehow get the shot here or only just drop a one, there's still a sniff to achieve that.
Yeah.
And 20 or less would be the goal. And if somewhere in the next 3 or 4 ends they can pinch a 2 or 3 and get it back to around that 10 mark, well, I think that's another win. So in a pennant environment in Australia, or state bowls that we play a lot of under the 21 end format of fours, going out and trying to keep your opposition to a number is quite often a goal. So if you're playing a pennant environment, 21 ends, fours, you might say, well, let's not let our opposition score more than 18. So if you can go out with that number, do everything you can to not let your opposition score that number. And if you don't happen to win, let's say you lose 17-14, you've achieved a goal for the overall. And that's what we're starting to see here from Malta. They're trying to just tighten up things a little and just go, you know what, let's try and achieve some small goals here, not necessarily the big goal, and that's trying to win the game.
Norfolk Island Bowling Club have enjoyed the commentary all week. Fantastic work, fellas. Congratulations, Baz, from elite player to elite commentator. You can do it all. Can Barry Lester. Little nod of approval. So Malta.
Yeah, the feedback's been so positive. I really do appreciate it. There's, as you know, people from all around the world tuning in here, and Val and I are just trying to give you the best insight and look at what these players are going through. So thank you for allowing us to do that, and we can't do it without you, so thanks for tuning in.
We do thank everybody from around the world, wherever you're watching from. We've had, I think, every continent barring Antarctica covered, so we're looking pretty good in that sense with our spread. Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, right here in Australia. Australia looking to continue this stranglehold. A little slide through could almost work. Australia still currently, I reckon, holding sway here. It's been so good having the world at our feet here in Australia on our doorstep. Every single one of these bowlers deserves to be here at the World Bowls Championships.
Aaron Sheriff always up for a crack, as you hear the UK people say. What's your crack? Aaron Sheriff always up to having a bit of a banter and a bit of a crack and a bit of a laugh, as we see Troy Lorimer.
And we've got a good view of this from where we're sitting
close
here, Barry. It's not far at all.
Bowl clean. That's the goal. He's just going to clip the front. Well, he's got another one round it. Yeah, Aaron Sheriff, you always see him always having a bit of a laugh, having a bit of a banter, and loves having a joke about movie quotes and certain things, and likes to stay relaxed out there, does Aaron. And such a veteran of the sport now. Played multiple times in multiple big events. And at the same time, always just stayed the same guy. Same character out on the rink.
He was very relaxed on Saturday. He wouldn't want to touch the jack. Has he just conceded shot there?
Well, if he's still got shot, it's actually heaps better. It just comes down to what's actually happening here, because if he hasn't got shot, he'll be disappointed. But if he's still got it, it's probably better for Australia.
I reckon he might just still have it. I'm not sure.
I'd like to see Troy to go down for a look here.
Jason Borg isn't sure. He's giving options, but
that's too much. Well, there's a lot of guesswork. You know, 33, 34 metres away. Troy asking. I can't see why Troy doesn't go down for a bit of a look. Anyway, he's relying on Jace's info. See what he can do.
So we'll find out in a sec whether Australia does have shot. Malta won in this direction the last time we bowled this way. So let's see what the verdict is.
I've taken one out.
Yep, so one to Malta. So that did definitely concede. Going to have a look for second here, and if Malta might have their first multiple of the contest. Just the one for the Maltese contingent. 17-4 the score.
So that hope, or that small goal dream, is still alive there, Val.
You're right.
You know, it's just so important, because these pool games, like let's fast forward half an hour time. Let's say Australia scored 19 and Malta score 8. Let's, 2 more to Australia and 4 more to Malta, which is quite possible. Malta then would have only lost by 11 versus half an hour ago, without being rude, we could have been thinking this could be a 15 to 20 shot victory from Australia. And well done to Malta. They're going, they're sticking, they're trying hard and sticking to their game plan as best they can, just to try and pack the bowls in there, and that's all you can do. And these pool games, 3 games a day for 3 or 4 days, so many games, and that's what's going to be the big winner at the end of these pool games, is the amount of not only games you've won, but how have you managed to not only win your games and score shots, but when you've lost, consolidate.
Spot on, Barry Lester. Because when you do lose, you don't want to lose big. And that's where Australia, in the games they lost in the men's triples, they didn't lose by much. Match against Malaysia was mightily close. Here at the moment, the margin is 13 in favour of the Aussies. It's been played at pretty quick pace. 4 ends, including this one, to go.
Peter Ilul sitting the shot bowl there of Corey Wedlocks. Corey trying to get that back there now on the forehand. Out on a nice wide drawing line. looks good to there. Can he put it back? Corey Wedlock, he sure can.
The wind brought it back beautifully as well.
The other one now is very, very important that I want to touch on too, Val, was the footwear.
Yes.
And you see the Puma brand there from the players wearing the Australian kit there with Puma.
Carl Healy's got the all-white Puma shoes on.
And so many players wearing orthotics these days too.
Look at the wind there as it tries to
drink. We've got drink bottles. I've got that wind.
Take my water bottle away.
The wind hitting the back of our throat. Got the wind hitting our microphone, and just keeping an eye on our cameras. It's getting right up now here at Musgrave. Can get very windy. It's very exposed, the north side of this club, to the elements.
So the sectional draws had a question come in if they're seeded or not. Was the question from there? From John Deegan. And in each event, teams will be placed into 4 sections based on the finishing positions at the last World Bowls Championships in 2016. So it's based on the previous results. The countries that did not compete in the respective draw at World Bowls 2016 will be randomly drawn into the remaining positions until all teams have been allocated a position in the draw. So hopefully that answers your question. And Ian Greenshields, the best 2 commentators in the world. Wow.
Well,
Baz, you might be.
Well, I was just going to say, lucky we got sliding doors here at the clubhouse, Val, or else we'd be struggling to get back in there, mate.
My head is well and truly bigger than the sides of the doors right now.
Got the wide sliding doors here at Muzzy.
Yep, thank you, Ian. I do appreciate it.
Okay, Carl Healy. Backhand it is. Jack length, 26 metres. Beautiful low release. Smooth drawing delivery there from Carl Healy. A couple of options. Turn the front one up.
It's not far off.
Missing under. Troy Lorimer indicating he just wants Jason Borg to come down and sit that red bowl. If he gets a couple of turns out of it, he can make 3 for Malta. Needs to get down. It's trying hard. He could draw this. Jason Borg.
He's close. Just.
Massive effort. Massive effort.
He has been sensational in this match.
Carl Healy definitely corrected his line. And, well, that's plan B. He's put one in the way, so that's protecting the shot bowl. So that'll force Troy Lorimer over to the forehand for a dead draw, which isn't that bad. So if Troy can come down with a yard of weight, trail the jack on his forehand, get the right jack movement, he can make 3, potentially 4 even. So forehand is still an option. It's just trying to get jack movement and not movement of the shot bowl along with it. So Troy Lorimer, forehand, trying to trail the jack, kick it out to the blue bowls on the wing there.
Malta trying to limit Australia.
Needs to get back. Well, his weight was spot on.
He's just going to go through the gap, but he does get a little slide, so ends up in a good spot. That red bowl of Australia, the thorn in the side of all of that blue contingent there. Aaron Sheriff on the prowl again, walking down behind his bowl. That familiar gait that we've become so accustomed to. Does he rock that one up enough to get into the count? I don't think so.
I think we saw Big Jason there indicating maybe 2. It hasn't changed Troy's shot. Trails a jack 3 feet on his forehand. He makes 3 or 4 for Malta. Yeah, and he has to bring it in a bowl. He wasn't too far away with his previous delivery. So it's good to see him come down and have a look. I would have thought his view now would have slightly changed.
They haven't won multiple ends in a row. So this would be massive.
So Troy Lorimer, it'll be forehand. Just a little bit of weight. Jack movement's the key here. Tough shot with this blustering wind, but his first one wasn't too far away, so minimal correction required.
Aaron Sheriff will have one after this. They look so relaxed out there, the Aussies, don't they?
Yeah, a couple of days rest and, a day and a half of rest. Troy Lorimer, he's pretty close here.
He's not far away at all.
Just needs any jack movement.
He's just going to come over the top, I think, here, Baz.
Oh, 2 big efforts. Great weight. Yeah, that's right. Just a bit of rest. They would have really enjoyed that, the Aussies. Just going off, catching up with friends and family. We speak about Corey Wedlock. Well, his mum lives up here on the Gold Coast. Aaron Sheriff, of course. Well, not only did Aaron Sheriff win a gold medal on Saturday at Club Helensvale, but he lives, I reckon, all of 1 kilometre from the club. So plenty of family there cheering, supporting. They can nearly walk to the club. Ken, Amanda and the kids. And then, of course, Carl, his partner, Jessica Tell, supporting there.
One of Bowls' power couples now.
Yeah.
Jesse took home the New South Wales state singles title. Very, very handy bowler is the emerging Jackaroo. So 1 to Australia. They move closer to that 20. Barry Lester, 18-4. They've only dropped 4 ends of the 12 so far. But the funny thing is, apart from that massive block in ends 5, 6, and 7, where Australia scored a 4, a 5, and a 4, they haven't scored any other multiples. It was really just that 3-end run that has hurt Malta here, because they've been in the area in every other end.
Yeah, even if you turn them into ones, like you say, Val. So if you took the surplus away and just kept them at dropping ones, which you're happy to drop, yeah, that's right. Malta aren't far away at all, and that's at all levels of the game. If you're dropping what I call clangers, so a clanger being anything more than a 2, they're those bad ends or bad numbers. If you take away your clangers out of your game, ideally, and you're winning a lot of ends, you're going to be walking away with a win for sure. So, and it's okay to drop numbers if the opposition are just too good and they're converting and they're creating the opportunities. But it's just when you have those few loose ends and your bowls haven't got a high effective rate, that's when you're disappointed in dropping those numbers.
But yeah, you're right. If you take them down to ones, that's 10 shots off the total. That makes it 8-4, which is much more manageable rather than 18-4. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and Malta have to try and reply and try and respond and negate that shot difference. 3 ends to play, including this one.
Our little friend is back. We've got a magpie just behind the players here, behind the ring.
Taunting you, Barry.
Now, this is usually, even though they're the Musgrave, they're the Pelicans. And usually you get a lot of kookaburras on the clotheslines and around the trees here, but that magpie, he's telling us something, Val. I'm sorry, I'm a Melbourne Demon supporter, but I think that magpie is telling us something. Could be their year.
Could very well be. Coach Craig McRae, nicknamed Fly. Can he get the Magpies to fly? Who knows? Or will Collywobbles strike again? Bit of a loose end so far. Corey Wedlock bowl still holding sway as Wesley Hedges puts in another. He needs to sit the ball. He just misses by a whisker.
I just want to touch on the multiples too again, Val. The other side of that is the pressure axing bowls. It's when you get on the mat and you're down 4 or 5, down that multiple, and you save and create and play a great pressure act. Aaron T's just missed. He somehow got under the front and halved that jack. Well, I didn't see that happening. So they're actually holding 2 now, Malta. But yeah, there's no real stat on those. But when you see them, and you've seen them now in BPLs and so on, the amount of bowls you've covered in the last 12 or so months, it's not always how many good bowls you're playing and how good or bad you're playing, but when you can play them when they really matter, and that's those pressure acts, and they're worth, they're worth sometimes triple or quadruple of what you might walk away with. So as we see Carl Healy informed to run this jack in the ditch. The key here is enough weight that if you are getting any connection on any of the bowls, you want them to leave the green. So if he touches anything here, he wants the blue bowls to leave the green. But he is close to the jack. You want that blue bowl to leave the green.
I think he did.
Which it did. So if you play, Aaron said, put the jack in the ditch, but if you play 6 to 10 feet there, the blue bowl probably isn't leaving the green and it still has value on the green. So the key there is to play enough that you're making sure you're eliminating the next worst thing, and that's bowls behind jack.
And yeah, I think, Baz, harping back on your point about it's not how many you play, it's when you play them. And I think the game against France last week that we covered is a really good effort there from Jason Borg. But Carl's shot to secure a massive total against the French in a really crucial time in that match. And, you know, he might not have been on the money the entire time, but he played some scintillating shots to get Australia out of trouble.
Yep, definitely. And that's the moments present themselves. Yep. And it might be weighted, it might be draw, it could be anything. But as we see here, Carl Healy, big weight here. So they're looking for...
And then from that...
He's sort of turned his back on that one. I
think he's going to miss underneath here, Baz.
I think there's a result here, is there? There is a result here. Oh, my goodness, almost.
Not far.
A little kiss up the front there. So Australia...
A wiki woo, maybe.
Yeah, so Australia's looking at this head and going, all right, we want the jack in the ditch. But it's the key component or key facet to this end is the tee. So Australia has the tee. So they can play weight to put the jack in the ditch, but the plan is if they happen to go over the top or kill it somehow, as we see Jason Borg, they've got the luxury of knowing they've got the tee. So Aaron Sheriff might
have a run at it.
And you can see the chalk marker on that bowl. So if it gets hit into the ditch, it obviously counts too. So that's where this shot was weight critical.
So you think backhand here, Baz?
Yeah.
Because then he can either rub off his own, maybe knock that into the ditch closer to the jack or anything along those lines, just to maybe give it more of a target. Well, yeah. It's gone forehand now.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and there is forehand as well. So it comes back to personal preference, how you see the head. So if you're playing it on a high line, you might stick and get the jack. And if you're under, you obviously get the bowl.
I think he's got this, Barry Lester.
It's close.
Oh, he has. Oh, my word. Aaron Sheriff.
So you can see the minimum weight required there. So Aaron said, I just like forehand playing a yard or two. You know, I can draw a toucher or I can get back to the shot bowl. I think he gave up the backhand because it hadn't changed in 3 or 4 deliveries. So, yeah, nice. Play the nice open hand just over the draw. If he was a bowl or two tighter, he would have sat the shot bowl. So I think Troy's objective now is to probably maybe look to run. Well,
scenario here for the Aussies.
I'm just saying, does Malta have a toucher? I don't think they do.
I don't think so. Can't see any chalk on their bowls. Now, Aussies, all they need to do, if they score a 2 in this end, it's over. If they score a 1, the best that Malta can do is draw. Australia currently holding 1.
So they're going to have a run at this touch-up. Aaron's, in these blustery conditions, is probably thinking might be the easier shot, just to run the toucher into the ditch versus trying to draw to the edge.
Just going to miss.
It's only a bowl height. That's just percentages. As Troy has to try and find a way in here. So Australia, if they score here, they've reached that number of 20. And if I was Malta, I'd be trying to keep them on that 20. We've got a little noisy miner out on the green there. Very, very common bird on the Gold Coast. The little noisy miners. There he is, running around having a bit of fun. So plenty of wildlife around the clubs, the venues. Some of them are in real leafy areas of the Gold Coast, as we saw Mudgery last week, Val.
I absolutely jumped yesterday. I was sitting at a cafe in a laneway in Broadbeach. Bin chicken landed right on the table, and it scared the living daylights out of me because they got the big wings, so you feel this big gust of wind behind you. The good old ibis.
Corey Wedlock on the forehand.
So, Baz, Australia cannot lose this match now. The best that Malta can hope for is a draw with 2 maximums, and 8s in 4s, very hard to come by.
Yeah, and I think like as I said, for winning those minor goals for Malta is just got to be trying to keep Australia around that 20 marker. Give every bowl a chance from here on in. Look just to push things around, trail things around, and just trying to finish with some form of momentum. Not bad there from Peter Lull. Probably 2 feet short. Corey Wedlock doesn't need to get another one right on it. Just draw to the tee, get something slightly past. 1-on-1 behind. If it stays on, skipper will be happy with that. So just the wind just straightening that up and blowing that into the ditch. Yeah, the breeze got right behind that one. You can see in the background everything getting blown around here. Just keeping an eye on our equipment as well. Our cameras and everything. It's getting to that stage where I don't think will probably drop off from here on in as Peter Lull gets the jack. I think it'll only get up for the next few hours. Yeah, with that temperature, 26, 27 degrees, that breeze probably just going to get stronger and hotter today. As we see another bowl trickle in. Wesley Hedges on the backhand. See the breeze just steering that bowl outwards. Just falling short. So the Aaron Tees on the backhand as well. Needs to stay around that shadow line for me. Yeah, that's a good track. He's got enough weight.
Very close.
It's a good starter. Players just trying to read and combat these conditions. Right now they are the worst they've been all day. So Aaron Tees needs 1 yard of weight here. Oh, sorry, Carl Healy. Apologies. Teesy's out of bullets. So Carl Healy, backhand. That's where you need to be. Just use that shadow as a guide. If you're around that shadow marker, you're on a good lane.
Just needs it to clear Teesy's front. Oh, he's ended up right with it. So Australia looks like with the head that we've got here, Barry Lester, they're not going to lose this match now.
No,
They've constructed it well, and obviously full counts, as I said, very hard to come by in 4s.
That's a good call from Troy. Troy just giving a visual for his third, saying, listen, it's impossible to draw to the jack on that hand. Maybe just try and get to my foot, and that'll do for shot. So as this breeze starts to really force these players into playing to the conditions, it's hard to really nail the jack.
Adaptability is key. Is there a key to actually practicing bowling in these windy conditions?
Well, that is probably the key element there, Val. It's like anything. You'll see players, if you're playing at a club that's got multiple surfaces, e.g. synthetic, carpet, grass, ideally you want to be practicing on all of them, because in this day and age versus maybe 30 years ago, you're predominantly playing on a bit of everything now. If you can, you practice on it, and that's no different to weather conditions. You can probably avoid from going down to the club on a windy day, so no, it's too windy. Well, if you're serious about your game and you want to play well in windy conditions, you've got to train in them, as we see. Well, he's done well there.
Yeah, he's done very well, Jason Borg.
So Jason Borg, he's switched hands there. He's gone through some traffic and found the shot. But yeah, if you want to improve your game and be serious about your game and play good in tricky conditions, you've definitely got to train in Val. There's no doubt about it.
And is that just noting where the windy clubs generally are, where it is most windy, or where like say Musgrave up the top of a hill might get more wind than some other clubs, or just if it's a windy day and you were planning to bowl, make sure that you go?
Well, let's say you went out and trained in the rain, in the wind every day for a week, and then your competition was the 8th day and it was in windy conditions. Your mental approach and the way you feel about the confidence and how you feel you're going to go about it on game day is going to be so much stronger and resilient to the conditions than it would if you hadn't have practiced. So that's where being match fit, not only with your physical ability to be able to play, but your mental capability. And if you can train how you're going to play, and that's in conditions as well, you've got one foot in the door. As Troy Lorimer draws another one here. Touch of the jacks, huge. He's got a little snip.
Yeah,
so
very nice.
Malta holding 3 all of a sudden.
So, Baz, would you say even if it's raining, go out and train in the rain? Doesn't matter what the conditions are, if it's wet, just to hone your skills on those conditions?
Yeah, and it's making sure you've got the right mechanism too, because if you play on a rain, wet, slow conditions and you go, oh, I haven't really done this before, and you could have done it in training, well, you're on your way in. So Aaron Sheriff, he needs to sit on something here. Well, he's got an edge. He's going to run up probably for
second, I think.
Third one. Okay, so
opportunity here for Troy Lorimer to get Malta's first multiple of the match. So Christina Christic and Alan Ryan were in massive trouble against the Swiss pair of Quensler and Butler. But I think they've just scored a 5 to go up 18-12 with one end to play.
Troy Lorimer, forehand it is. If you can get a toucher here down the line, can make 4. It's just not going to be here.
He doesn't want to knock that Australian bowl up.
No, he's just not carrying any yardage there. So
Malta score their 5th end, Barry Lester. 20-5 is the score. One end to play. It's been comprehensive by the Aussies. They've been ruthless, and they'll go through with another big boost for their shot difference after beating the Philippines by 15 shots in the opening round.
Yeah, if Malta can win this end, I think it's a small little win. Pick up a couple of ends in a row and keep Australia to that mark. And
well, it's been around that margin the entire time, really, since we went up 15-2, really.
Yeah.
It's only just gone over that by 2 shots. So we've kind of split the ends. And since it's 15-2, we're at 4 ends to 3 in Australia's favour. So Malta have constantly had bowls in the head.
Yeah, just
scored in 5 ends.
Just those multiples again, Val.
The clangers.
Yeah, we can look back on them for decades and decades in the game of bowls, and I encourage everyone out there to always look at your card straight after the game. Any game you play, whether it be singles, pairs, triples, fours, whatever environment, whatever event it may be, look back on your card and do a little assessment. How many ends did you win versus your opposition? How many scores did you get or how many multiples did you score? How many multiples did you lose? And just do a little quick self-assessment and move forward and grab that knowledge out of that game, because sometimes if you lose, you might win more ends, and that's a great little win. And you got to grab any positives you can. You can even in a pennant environment, or let's say you do play a singles match and it end up being 20 ends of singles. Well, how many quarters did you win? You might have won 2 out of the 4 quarters or 3 of the 4 quarters in terms of end blocks. And you just got to just grab all that you can and walk away and go, you know what, I lost that game by 2, but I actually won more ends than my opponent. So it's something that gives me good confidence I can match them end for end. Those onions, I'm struggling, Val. I don't know how you're going.
It's killing me.
Sausages and onions, we've got the barbecue going.
Absolutely killing me.
Beautiful day for a barbecue. 27 degrees here on the Gold Coast.
So Australia currently holding sway. Wesley Hedges putting in another bowl. So Malta, no multiples for them, but they've certainly plucked on and been thereabouts. And Wesley Hedges takes the shot. Been comprehensive by the Aussies, though. A really good start to their competition, especially considering the Maltese contingent knocked off Malaysia in the opening match this morning on green 1, which is so impressive considering the pedigree that Malaysia boast.
And these conditions really don't allow for supreme consistency, if that's the best I can put it, Val. No matter how good you are, these conditions, you can be trying to put them two bowls down the same. It's nearly impossible. So to be able to just try and force the opposition into playing some tricky shots, which Australia did through the middle match part of this match, I think was the difference, because there was probably, what did we say, 4 or 5 ends in the middle there where Australia went on a run and they were just forcing all the pressure onto Malta.
They certainly were, and yeah, the consistency has been there for the Australians. And a really, really great performance, professional performance. Just enjoying themselves out there, and I think that's the key, especially in these tough conditions. It can get very frustrating at times because, as you said, Baz, it's hard to maintain that consistency.
Yeah, and we see a couple of close bowls there from Malta. You know, the Aussies, the cue's probably in the rack a little here, which is fine. They know the results. It's just a matter of now still backing their shot selection, backing their calls. And, well,
a little nudge of the jack.
Well, this might actually force Carl, yes. So Carl will get into this. Best result is the dark blue first, then the light blue, both bowls, or at least take one out and open it up for his skipper.
Got it.
He's got one of them, so he's opened it up.
Yep, and got rid of one of the back ones as well. So Aaron Sheriff has a clear run.
Okay, last end of this match. It'll be Troy Lorimer first to go. He'll be looking to try and finish on some sort of high here, winning a couple of ends in a row.
4 bowls left in this match. Australia will move 2 and zip in this section. What's impressed you the most about the Australian contingent, Barry?
Just playing their roles. I'm really loving the fact that, you know, Corey's fronting up as a lead position. Hardly had any short. You know, that's the key to leading, and Corey's a great exponent at that. Teasy backing him up. Once again, just putting him around the area. And Carl, as we see his last bowl, he's got the ability to play that big hit and open up some heads for Aaron. And Aaron wants him to open those heads up so he can come down and draw the shot, which he didn't quite do there. He's only a yard short. So just everyone playing their role, and that's probably been the most impressive bit for me. But also Malta, all the way to the end here, have just kept backing themselves as well, trying to keep that deficit from blowing out.
You're right, Baz, and I think you harped on it early. This is going to be it. This is going to be it. But the Aussies, their performance has been one massive unit, one massive family, and it continues to be that way. They do get the win. I think 1 to Australia there, or 1 to Malta.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where the shot bowl of Australia's is. If it's the one over at 3 o'clock, I didn't quite see that, but either way, it's 1 to Australia or Malta. And
1 to Australia confirmed, and so the Aussies win it 21-5 in the end. 16 shots they get the job done by, and as you said, it was a purely team performance. Everyone played their role to perfection. Hard to adapt to these conditions, but they did a pretty good job of it. And in the end, it was really ends 5, 6, and 7 where the Aussies scored a 4, a 5, and a 4 in back-to-back ends to end that. After that, they only scored one more multiple.
Yeah, and we've got the beauty of looking back on the scorecard here, Val, and you've really pinpointed the difference, and that's all it is sometimes, and you just got to be wary that you're not in the windy conditions playing all the shots in the book. You're just really still trying to build those heads, but the pressure from Australia forced Malta into playing some of those shots, but also to Malta's credit, they didn't give in. They stayed tight to the end, and the score doesn't reflect that, I know, but all in all, it was a great performance from both teams.
It was. So, one more match to come, 2:45 p.m. Sam Tolchard against Ulla Bakran, England versus Sweden. Something you might see a lot in the deep ends of a World Cup, but right here, the World Bowls Championships, it's right in the group stage. Very much looking forward to that one. Barry Lester, thank you very much.
Thanks, Val. See you after lunch, mate.
Looking forward to a nice sausage sizzle. It smells absolutely fantastic. We'll catch you in just over an hour's time. It's been Val Febo and Barry Lester covering Australia's 21-5 win over Malta.